but every day seems to be getting better and better. So today, we're going to be still working with Mastering Metaphysics, the Essential Foundations and Principles, and we're in Chapter 4. If you're enjoying this, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. The classes will be starting if you're here in Albuquerque, February 7th. We'll be talking a little more in depth about what each of these means. Everybody will pick it up to read it. So, taking our excerpt from Judgment, and it's karma versus mortal law and judgment. To bring about in what otherwise could be chaos, mortal man created laws by which we have all agreed to live. We knew we were going to incarnate into these mortal laws. These laws are based upon our current levels of awareness and thoughts of the collective mind on Earth. The creation of amending of laws is an ongoing process. We grow intellectually, then we amend our laws accordingly. For example, in America, when voting first became a right, only white men were allowed to vote. It wasn't until 1870, the ratification of the 15th Amendment extending voting rights to all men, although for people of color, exercising it became more of a challenge. In 1920, white women were given the vote. In 1924, the Snyder Act gave indigenous people, Native Americans, the right. And finally, in 1965, the Voting Rights Act made it possible for Black women and Latinas to vote. This is a great example of how our shift in consciousness works. The biggest problem with mortal law is that mortal humans write them. We choose that which we feel is in our highest and best interest. To see within more clearly, just make it. I think I skipped a page. Our country's highest and best interest. I did. Sorry. Then we wrote on it. We should all remember that while we see our opinions as the highest and best interest for the country, our fellow human beings see their opinions the same way. It is through their life experiences and their levels of consciousness that they make decisions on how they will vote. It doesn't mean yours is right and theirs is wrong. It just means that, cumulatively speaking, we have our decisions on our experiences. With social pressure and the news media, we are inundated with opinions. Gandhi said if we could change ourselves, the tendency in the world would also change. He was and is absolutely correct. Focus on yourself and leave everyone else out of it. In other words, raising vibration helps you to bring up others. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is that we're starting another political voting season. And I noticed that with these voting seasons, people's emotions get overwrought. They're watching news media that are more editorials. They're not delivering news, they're delivering editorials. And they're doing the interpretation. What they're not speaking for is the collective consciousness. Now, as we grow in consciousness, as we grow spiritually, we start to understand things on a more equal level. Matriarchy comes into play, and patriarchy starts to balance out with that matriarchy. And this is how we grow. This is what will bring peace when we start recognizing that humans in corporeal form are just humans in corporeal form. But our thoughts, our actions, our emotions create actions in which we send out to the collective consciousness. Now, fear was created in the last 2,000 years, probably I'd say last 200,000 years, but we'll just stick with 2,000 years. And in that last 2,000 years, we have seen a downshift of equality for all peoples. What we don't realize is that we have been man, woman, we have been black, white, red, yellow, brown. We go into that reincarnation. We have shared those experiences. We have been oppressed and we have been the oppressor. We're having life experiences in order to grow in consciousness, and judgment and how we use it is how it stands us in good stead. So when we come into deciding what should be happening and what can be happening in Earth, we also want a place of peace and calm and fruition for abundance for everybody, but that doesn't serve everyone. People who are greedy want all the money, not realizing there's plenty for everyone. So their judgment is to make everybody else bad or fearful so that they can get the bigger slice of the pie. There are men in this world right now that have millions of dollars, and they could make life easier for those in their surrounding area. Why don't they? Well, because they don't necessarily want to share because they're afraid they won't have what's left. But also, maybe it's because in our balancing for our karmic destiny, we have to experience the futility of being poor when there's so much abundance to be had. So our judgment is that I'm going to be poor, then that's what you're going to get. I can't do things in half measure. I have to do them all the way and work hard for my money, for my life, because that's our judgment. When truth be known, if we just said things like, I work joyously and abundance flows naturally. If we shifted our consciousness and understood that these are the things that we do to bring ourselves to higher consciousness, it's just changing our phraseology, then we would be in a better, more content environment. I always wonder because I have a lot of people telling me, well, this is who I am. I'm in the sixth dimension. Okay. But if you were in the sixth dimension, you wouldn't be mentioning it. It wouldn't be an issue for you because you know what that means, and the people who aren't there don't. And you would also know that it's very difficult for them to understand. So what's the point of explaining it? Using our judgment, we would know what works and what doesn't work. So it's more important to use our judgment to raise our consciousness than to tell people where we are in consciousness. I laugh because I tell people a lot of times I'm here on Earth as a human being to connect to Earth. I feel so much better when I can sit in the stillness and I can feel the warm earth coming through my fingers, warming my body, the sun beating down on me so that I feel warm and loved, and the tree, the leaves just kind of blowing in the breeze, and I can feel other entities around me that aren't necessarily human, and they're not necessarily in the etheric. They're entities that are here in this timeline that we can't see with the naked eye, and I can feel them. I can relate to them. I've heard their whispers. I've heard their talking to me. This is what my experience is because I believe that my world is made up of that. And so understanding that we can hear the birds sing even when there's no birds around, you wonder how that is with judgment. It's because that's what I put into the collective consciousness, that we can all do these things. So it becomes more difficult. It's difficult to explain, which is why I read that section. I wanted you to have an experience where you understood that it doesn't matter as long as you move fear out of your life. You can create, we use judgment to create fear, to create negative. But how often are we using judgment to open the doors for positivity? To say, hey, I'm 63 years old. I still get around just fine. I have my days, but I don't present as 63, and I'm okay with that. Because that's, in my judgment, I've had a very nice life and my body is self-healing. So we work at doing our judgments, our calls to abundance, our calls to each other from a love-based heart. That's where we should be using our judgment. That you are worthy of being loved. Magical work comes to you in a magical way. You give magical service for magical pay. I don't remember where I heard that. I don't know who wrote that. I thank God they did because I love the word magical. Magical makes me sing with possibilities. because when I was young, magic was making the house grander. You could just change it all and be clean. The dinner was cooked and clothes were done, and bing, everything was in perfect harmony. So put your magic mojo on, recognize yourself for the beautiful being that you are. Know that there's unlimited resources. Know that there's unlimited opportunity. That having that fear or lack only puts roadblocks in your way. You don't work hard, you work joyously, and abundance follows naturally. From my heart to yours, I wish you a most beautiful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.